Hi, this is Frode and welcome back to Actualize Notes TV. Today we have another great book, Speed Reading with the Right Brain by David Butler. Speed Reading with the Right Brain. Subtitle, Learn to Read Ideas instead of just words. David Butler is a retired mechanical design engineer, and after a lifelong struggle with slow reading speed, he was eventually able to apply the conceptual approach of his job of solving design engineering problems to reading, to solve his struggle with reading speed. And he was therefore able to increase his reading speed at an enjoyable rate from 150 words per minute to 450 or 500 words per minute. He tripled his reading speed with this approach. And what the main premise of the book that I saw is that speed reading is comprehension, and only pushing your speed won't improve your comprehension, like many speed reading courses and books out there tell you. But improving your comprehension will naturally lead to better reading speed. And we will dive into more of this in this video right here. But the results for me have just been magical. After reading this book and doing the 20 practice exercises for Learn to Read and Understand Faster, I find much more enjoyment from what I read, and I'll see that I'll read a bit faster. But when I take his course, I'll be able to read a lot faster, I believe. So this book is mostly for all people who do kind of knowledge work. If you're a student or a teacher, entrepreneur, you might be a writer, this is really an essential option, I would say. And if you don't do knowledge work but you just enjoy reading, it's also a good book to add to your growing, I hope, library. So for today we'll have a look at 5 of my favorite big ideas. Let's just jump in with the first one, time. So how much time will this cost me to improve these improve my reading speed using these techniques, you might ask or wonder. And David uses a really great illustration. Let's say that you had to spend 5 hours on this on learning to get your reading speed from 200 words to 400 words per minute. And we can say that if you are going to read a 300-page book at 200 words per minute, it will take you about 10 hours to read it. But if you improve your reading speed to 400, you'll be able to read the same book in 5 hours. And that means that if it takes you 5 hours to improve your reading speed from 200 to 400, you will only have to read one book, and you will have gained back your time. And you'll also learn to understand a lot more of what you read. But that's really it. The more books you read, the more time you will get, because you read so much faster. And the more you read, the more you will want to read more. I'm talking from experience here. I have about 140 books in my library. It's about 30 or 40 of them that I haven't read. And I'm already considering buying a whole bunch of other books, because you just get more curious. And what's fascinating is that the more you know, the easier it becomes to know more, because you have these associations in your brain, these connections that are made much easier between what you know from before and what you learn, because that's really the only way we learn. But time is not a question. You will gain time by learning these techniques. So let's go to number 2. What is reading? What is reading? Well, of course, reading is just gliding your eyes over the page and expecting it all to get absorbed into your mind, the average reader says. But we want to learn that reading is not doing that, gliding your eyes over words and sentences, but instead, reading is comprehension. It means making images in your mind of what you read, looking for the meaning that's in it. We'll talk more about that in Conceptualizing. But the main point is that reading is not just seeing and recognizing words. That's only the delivery process. But to absorb it into your mind, you have to see what it means to you in your own mind. And Kevin Horsley, Grand Master of Memory, echoes the same wisdom in Unlimited Memory, where he says that reading happens only when we understand what we see, when we make images in our minds based on what we take in. So it's pretty much a done deal. Reading is conceptualizing, it's comprehension. It's not just gliding your eyes over words and recognizing them. So the third big idea is conceptualizing. Let's talk about what, why, and how of conceptualizing. So what is conceptualizing? It basically means that when you read, you are thinking about the meaning that it has to you. Let's take an example that he uses in the book. Imagine a big black dog. A big black dog. An image of it. And now think about what a big black dog means to you. Is it scary? Is it friendly? Is it often running, or is it just staying close? Is it lazy? What does a big black dog mean to you? Can you remember one that you've seen before? The idea behind this is when you read the words, the big black dog, you're supposed to focus on the meaning behind it and the image that you can create in your mind to actually see it instead of just the words. And that's really what conceptualizing is. You create images in your mind when you read, and you think about what it means to you. So why do we want to conceptualize? We want to conceptualize because when we read conceptualize and look for the meaning in what we read, we activate the power of our right brain, which is really the most powerful way to... Because the right brain helps you see images. It's what understands ideas and the images and the big picture stuff of things. So when you read for meaning and pictures, all of those aspects of those pictures are able to be connected with what you know from before. And as we have said, learning happens only when you connect new information to old information. What you know with what you don't know. And your right brain helps you do this much more powerfully than just reading a few words and sentences, because the images can connect very easily to other images, connected to other branches of the studies or knowledge that you have from before. I don't have any examples right now, but that's much how it works. It's also a much more enjoyable way to read, because when you read for images, you can literally imagine that you're sitting in a movie. And it's just being a movie tape played, or this great PowerPoint presentation with good images being flashed out in your mind as you think about what it means to you. So, how do we conceptualize? Well, there are key things that we have already talked about: creating images in your mind, visualizing what you see, what you read. You look for the meaning, personal meaning, what you read have as to you, and this is supercharged with reading phrases of 3 to 6 words, 3 in the beginning if you're just starting out, because those creates much more meaningful chunks that are much easier to visualize than just simple words, like a V and what and how. Much easier to read what is the idea. You can imagine a light bulb or something. Those 3. Create images, look for meaning, and read in phrases. Jump between phrases on what you read. And obviously, this is a book that I highly recommend that you read yourself and go through all the practice exercises to really understand this and apply it as a lifelong habit in your own life. It will make your reading much more enjoyable, much faster, and you'll just, you'll enjoy it a lot more. So that's conceptualizing. Force versus technique. But David talks about martial arts. Have you ever seen martial artists practice this techniques? They might be going really slowly to when they're fighting. It might seem like they're not really doing much, but what they're doing is they're actually refining their techniques to maximize the power they will be able to leverage when they are in a real fight. Instead of just going with full force and wildly trying to beat up someone, they use the techniques they have learned. And same with reading. Instead of just pushing your speed to try to read faster, it's much more powerful to learn the technique of visualizing what you read. And another metaphor he uses is reading faster to increase your comprehension is much like a race car driver pushing down the throttle at full speed in order to increase his skills as a race car driver. He would obviously crash very fast, and the same thing happens with our reading. We don't understand much and we are confused. So, force versus technique. You want to learn to read with a good technique instead of using the force of trying to read faster and thinking that comprehension will catch up. Really a simple example is Bruce Lee. He had the 1-inch punch, could stand just 1 inch from the chest of someone, twice his size, and he could send him flying over the room. So that's powerful technique. And fifth big idea is evolution. Do you think our brain evolved to read or to survive? It's pretty much a no-brainer. Of course we learned to, our brains evolved to survive. While when the cavemen had to learn what foods were edible and poisonous, where the prey, the animals were, so they could kill them, and what their way home was, they didn't really read these words and start reading these pages and books on where these things were. They had to see it, and then they had to remember it in mind, and see what those things mean. It's a plant of some sort. Is it edible or is it poisonous? And that was pretty important for their survival to be right. But our brains didn't evolve to read. We can read, but it's much more powerful to read and visualize images, just like the caveman within us. So, that's evolution. Give your caveman some really fascinating images to look at while you're reading. Force versus technique. Increase your comprehension, not your speed. Conceptualizing, to look for the meaning, for the images, and read in phrases. What is reading? It's not seeing and recognizing words, it's comprehending and understanding what you see. And time. You won't lose time by learning these techniques, you will gain a heck of a lot of time. So let's a really quick look at the Speed Reading with the Right Brain by David Butler. Highly recommend it. What's the number one idea that jumped out at you? That resonated with most powerful with you? And what's one thing you can do over the next few days to experiment with that idea? And eventually you might make it a lifelong habit. Well, go for that one, while the inspiration is high. And our next big idea will be, our next book will be on Elon Musk, the biography. Super fired up about that. It's massively inspiring. But for now, thanks for watching. I want you to have another awesome day, and I look forward to sharing more. Let's actualize so we can change the world together. See ya.
Hi, this is Frode. You might know me from the work I do on YouTube, but I also want to tell you that you can gain access to a ton of more wisdom at my website, actualizer.me. And here, I focus all of my energies on answering the question, how can I help you actualize your life on a day-to-day basis? Because I know that even though you want to actualize your life and develop yourself, you're too busy to read all day. And that's why I'm all about sharing wisdom made practical. Fun, inspiring, and practical wisdom you can apply to your life immediately. And I do it through something I call Actualized Notes, which include big ideas from 100 plus of the best and most transformative books on optimal living. It's notes from a fellow actualizer who wants to embody and help you embody these ideas more consistently in your life. And these actualized notes include 100 plus practical PDFs, which is 6-page PDFs with condensed wisdom ready for use. And these are recorded into 100 plus Mp3 guides, because all ANs are recorded as Mp3 so you can actualize on the go. I also create 10 to 20 minute ANTV episodes, which I upload on YouTube. And these are again converted into Mp3 files, so you can get access to them on the Actualized podcast. And all this work includes over 750 big ideas from ancient philosophers, modern scientists, and your own common sense, explained for easy use. You can gain instant access at my website, actualizer.me, and you can get a free 30-day trial, and then it will be $10 per month. You can cancel it whenever you want, and I price the membership program so low, so you can tap into practical wisdom no matter how you're standing financially. Alright, I hope you'll join me on this hero's journey of actualizing our potential. See ya.